Hello, I'm Juan Davies, Chief Creative Officer at KCET and PBS SoCal, and I'm joined by the newsroom of KPCC and LAist on a special reporter roundup. How is everyone today?
Well, thank you.
Tonight, I'm joined by reporters Frank Stoltz, Emily Elena Dugdale, Dana Amihir, Jackie Fortier, Managing Editor Adrian Hill, and historian Dr. Daniel Walker to discuss the state of our city and our community as we face the impact of COVID-19 and the 2020 uprisings. Frank, you have been covering police and politics here in Los Angeles for over 25 years. What context can you give us from your knowledge and your vantage point about what is happening today?
You know, back in 1992, after the Rodney King beating and the acquittal of the officers who beat him, the riots were much more serious. More than 60 people died. There were many more fires, many thousands of arrests. What we saw come out of that were some police reforms like 5-year terms for the police chief and more close monitoring of problem police officers at the LAPD. But certain problems persisted. And obviously, use of force is one of them. Police enjoy a lot of protection in the way they use force. They are, first and foremost, when they apply it, investigated by their own officers. When it comes to prosecutions, there are a few of them, and if police are prosecuted, there are a lot of laws that protect them, and most specifically, a couple of Supreme Court rulings that allow police to use reasonable fear anytime they feel like they're afraid, even if it's not an actual fear. In other words, if they perceive a weapon, but there isn't one, they can use that as a defense. So, you know, here in 2020, you know, with these explosions of protests, I think part of it is around what a colleague at the New York Times described the architecture that is built up around police officers and the protection they get for use of force. What we saw come out here in the last day or two were efforts to dismantle that architecture by the mayor. One of the proposals, an interesting one, to create an independent prosecutor. That's not his job. The mayor doesn't have the power to do that, but he says he'll lobby for one. And he also made a rather extraordinary proposal to shift money from the LAPD to social services in communities of color. It's not a small amount of money. It's $150 million. But Black Lives Matter, the group that's been leading the protests, says it's not enough. And I'll make one last point. Leading civil rights attorney Connie Rice says that this is not a training issue, because the mayor also talked about retraining officers. She talked about this being a mission issue, that police need to have a different mission, not just in LA, but around the country, and not one of suppression and containment in communities of color, but one of partnership and one that is married to social services. You know, so she supports shifting some of the resources from police to social services. And she says, as long as we're in this containment and suppression approach to poor and minority neighborhoods, we're going to see more George Floyd's, and we're going to see more explosions.
We've had a lot of our reporters out in the field during these protests, really talking to protesters and understanding what brings them out. And Emily's been out recently, and I wonder if you could just share what you're hearing, Emily.
Yeah, so I guess I've been out a lot, and we've had some massive protests in Hollywood. And I would say that there's a lot of people out there who, you know, they don't want police officers to kneel with them. They don't want police officers to march with them. They want police officers to stop killing them and to stop targeting them in their communities. We look a lot at 1992 for this kind of stuff, because in Los Angeles, that's our reference point to these kind of uprisings. But I will have to say, like, this history has been going on for a really long time. People of color know this, Black folks know this. You know, in our panel right here, you know, Dana and I can attest to every Black person that you talk to has a personal story of interactions with police. And protesters are out there. They're out there because of this reason. They're out there because they've felt silenced. I really like what Frank just said about, you know, if this kind of suppression and containment of communities of color persist, we're going to keep seeing George Floyd. That's exactly what the issue is here. People feel like nobody is listening to them. And finally, somebody is listening. I don't think a lot of folks would have expected Mayor Eric Garcetti to say that he's going to defund the LAPD by 100 million or 150 million. That's things that the Black Lives Matter organization here and other community activists have been talking about for a long time. And I will add, like, I would encourage folks to check out the People's Budget of LA, because they're advocating for a much bigger reinvestment of funding. I actually spoke with Chief Michael Moore about that today, and he said that budget was not realistic, right? That budget would have slashed 90% of funds from LAPD. He said it wasn't realistic, but he said it's open to a conversation. So my question is, I'm wondering if that we'll see that number go up in terms of a reinvestment, but who knows?
I'm just wondering, you know, after just hearing the two of you talk, how do you police a multicultural city? How do you create the right type of reform? What are the right types of tactics? And I think, Frank, you started to talk about it, from moving from, you know, containment, from policing to a much more integrated community form of you know, policing. Is that possible? What are the types of reforms that we could probably expect in the future?
You know, the model for this is the Community Safety Partnership Program that was started almost a decade ago now in the housing projects in Watts, where police are assigned to the area for at least 5 years, so they're not in and out. They develop relationships, and they're measured not on arrests, they're measured on problem solving, on relationships with communities. And it really is the exact opposite of the LAPD's well-known Metropolitan Division, you know, which those are the guys who are the hard-charging, you know, SWAT, gang suppression guys. This other style is the model. The issue is that it's been really used just, I think it's in about 7 or 8 areas now. And what it needs to be is dramatically expanded. So there's this tension within the department, you know, between the warrior cop who in the past, and frankly in film, is hailed as the hero, right? You know, and this other police officer who develops the relationships, who is able to fight crime by working with the community, and is measured not by the number of arrests he or she makes, you know, but by solving problems. So the Community Safety Partnership Program, I think, is the model.
If that's the model and it's working, why is it as small as it is?
Because I think that the LAPD still holds up as the you know, the ideal cop, the warrior cop. You know, and that's the culture of policing in America. You know, policing doesn't, you know, hail the guy who de-escalates, although the LAPD has created a new award for best de-escalation, you know, of the year, just like the guy who gets the Medal of Valor. But it's just one award, and so it's going to take a while to change police culture.
What Frank's saying is definitely something that's out there. What I've heard a lot from community activists, Black Lives Matter LA and other community organizations, is just that they want police to leave their neighborhoods entirely. And that's another conversation. Some people might say that's unrealistic, but, you know, a lot of community leaders are saying, like, you know, we can police ourselves. Police just bring, you know, trauma and problems to our neighborhoods. My colleague Jackie Fortier might be able to talk about how COVID-19 has really changed things, but, you know, crime is down quite significantly here in Los Angeles. I think it's around, in April at least, it was around 20% reduction in crime overall. So a lot of community leaders are pointing to that and saying, like, we don't need as many police. We could actually, like, have just a smaller presence in our neighborhood. So that's another thing, and that's another kind of viewpoint that's out there right now.
And I would say, Emily, and I think that you talked about it in one of our earlier reporter roundups, is the tactics that were used, and we have seen some change in those tactics from the beginning of the protesting to today. But at the beginning, there was no intention of any type of community dialogue. It was more, how are we going to protect? How are we going to defend? And there was a lot of rubber bullets and tear gas. And you yourself were talking about what is the efficacy of curfews in the first place, right? During this time.
Right. I spoke with a couple of experts on policing and protest for that to like figure out why, what a curfew is all about. Does it actually work? The consensus was that curfews don't necessarily help quell kind of unrest. And I spoke to an expert from the University of Arizona who actually has extensive research on police protesting and said, a lot of times officers, they're not dealt to think about approaching a situation without using force. And I think that that's something that we have seen on the ground, at least last weekend. For those first couple of days, we saw a lot of tactics being deployed on protesters, such as tear gas, rubber bullets. Ourselves at KPCC-LA, we had a colleague, Adolfo Guzman Lopez, who was hit by a rubber bullet in the throat, by a Long Beach police officer. And, that kind of stuff really concerns people. And that kind of stuff circulates a lot on social media. So I really do think that we saw less of that, because I think that people did reflect on that and say, like, that was not a good look. I think that, going forward, those kind of conversations about like what do these tactics look like and are they useful, is going to be thought about a lot.
Well, and also the use of tear gas is exacerbating COVID. I mean, we are in a pandemic right now, and tear gas makes you tear up. It makes you cough a lot, and we know that that is one of the ways that the virus is transmitted. There isn't a lot of social distancing going on at any of the protests. A lot of people are wearing face masks, but there has been a really big conversation in a lot of the cities across the nation about the use of tear gas and this choice that's been made by a lot of law enforcement officials to use tear gas, which will make you cough, and we know that we're in a pandemic. So it's going to be a couple weeks before we see a rise in cases, because that's how long it takes before there is any transmission. And, we're never going to be able to pin it specifically on one thing, because keep in mind, the state is also still opening up. And we don't know who, of course, was out protesting or involved in any way. But I mean, the use of tear gas as a tactic when everyone knew that there was a pandemic going on is really a conversation that's really continuing to happen.
And the pandemic is also part of the context for why people are upset in this moment. The economy is part of the context for why people are upset in this moment. I mean, with the virus, Jackie, it has had such disparate impacts, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's clear. I mean, Latinos make up over half of the COVID-19 cases in the entire state. They're about 40% of the state's population. Black folks, especially in Los Angeles County, have been dying at a far higher rate than other people. And so have other minorities like Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. These ethnicities have higher rates of underlying health conditions like blood pressure and diabetes. That makes them more susceptible to the virus. And a lot of that is because of endemic racism. So unfortunately, it's really hit communities of color hard. It's also been the case in elderly people of color, especially people who live in nursing homes. We did a data analysis with the New York Times, and we found that nursing homes that house a majority people of color have almost twice the likelihood of having a COVID-19 outbreak as other nursing homes. I mean, I can give you stats. Almost half the people who have died from COVID-19 in LA County have been nursing home residents. and there's multiple reasons for this, but one is the response from the health department. The testing was really slow in nursing homes. They didn't maybe take it as seriously as they should have to begin with. They still haven't tested everyone in nursing homes in LA County, including staff. And I mean, there's a lot of low-wage workers who are minorities who aren't able to telecommute, who have to go to work, and they've been working this whole time. And they are seeing a lot of cases.
And Dana's been digging into the economic data for us.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm finding as I'm looking at the economic fallout from the pandemic is that there's a real connection between the communities and the cities that we see that were hardest hit by unemployment, by people filing for unemployment benefits. There's a very strong correlation between those are the people and those are the communities that are out protesting right now. Those are the people who, those are the communities that have been hardest hit by COVID. It's interesting in an analysis that I'm working on with a reporter right now, two of the blackest areas in LA County, Inglewood and Compton, they have some of the highest cases reported for COVID. It's far above the average rate for the county. They're 42% and about 30% Black. They're well under the median household income for what the county is. So not only are the residents of these areas on the poorer side, they may not have access to more adequate health care. They're a community of color. They're suffering much, much higher unemployment rates, far above what we're seeing at the county rate. Inglewood, for example, is at 23.8% unemployment. The county itself is only at 20.3% right now, which is just astounding for the fact that Inglewood is not that big of a place compared to some other cities in the county.
Overlay with that too, a lot of the testing sites in those areas have had limited hours, that they've been closed completely by health officials due to the protests. So, I mean, you could be exacerbating the situation in that people who are already experiencing higher cases may not have access to testing in their same areas because they're protesting.
We have COVID-19 on one side, and that really sort of peeled the layers of so many inequities that we have in our communities, right? Now we are in this uprising, which is a voice that is clearly asking for change and asking for some systematic look into the institutions that govern us, right? As a newsroom for all of you, and Adrian, you and I have talked about this, but where and how can you report on this? You know, where is the element of truth? Where is the element of fact? And where does the personal experience, start to get involved into all these things? What have you all been going through?
I think one of the ways that we're really trying to address our audience is by trying to bring them into our reporting so that we're not talking at them about what's going on, that we're really including their voices in our reporting, that we're not, mansplaining or whitesplaining or whatever to communities of color and others who are protesting, that we're not, part of the institutions that are saying, oh, well, this is the way things have been, we're just going to talk more at you. That we're really trying to lift up voices that haven't maybe been heard before. We're trying to say, protesters, people who are angry right now, we hear you, we see you, we hear you. You don't have to necessarily destroy for us to hear you, we see you. And that's why I'm really proud to be a part of this Race in LA series, because I feel like we're not only trying to solicit voices from our community, but we're also trying to lift up voices from our newsroom. Austin Cross, one of our producers, did a really poignant essay on his perspective of being a mixed race person in our newsroom. And the essay that I wrote about the complexities that I've faced and the many multifaceted things about me that is being published. I mean, I felt like it was an opportunity for me to not just lift up my voice, but for me to offer something to our audience to really empathize with how they're feeling, and for our audience to really respond and to connect with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's, everything needs to be looked at right now. How we've been doing things, how we reflect as journalists, what are we choosing, as a fact, and how are we communicating with our audience?
One of the things that guides me is just this idea that our job is to shed light and not heat. So really try to reflect what is happening. Don't just rush to the scene of something that's negative or flashy, but try to get a sense of the context and the fuller picture of what's actually happening in Los Angeles today.
If you want to learn more and read more of the work that the LAist and the KPCC newsroom is doing, please come to kct.org or go to kpcc.org and LAist. We're going to break away right now for an intimate conversation with Dr. Daniel Walker, an incredible historian, and I will be right back with you all. Welcome, Dr. Daniel Walker. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay.
I've been you live in Long Beach, and I've been seeing all your social media sort of reports and images from what is going on over there. What has happened?
That's a good question. I think it is the manifestation of hope and possibility. Honestly, I'm not as like the sky is falling as some people might be. I think that this is an opportunity for young people, especially who are expressing their desire of hope, and an opportunity to maybe try to change this American system. And they've seen us, piddle through this for hundreds of years. And I think they are saying, it's now, we're going to do this. And I love seeing the multicultural nature of the protests. I mean, historically speaking, in the 1960s, when we had the summer, the hot summer in 1967 and the riots that followed the issue of Martin Luther King's assassination in 1968, most of what we saw were, 98% African Americans trying to speak. And what we see today in Long Beach on this weekend, it was 95% of the people who were marching were non-Black. And so to see Black, white, Latino, Asian, gay, straight, all saying it's over. You know what I mean? Like, I want to end this now. And I'm not talking just about police brutality, but the notion of racism, which is the big issue that they are being able to look at critically and know that it informs so much of everything we do in America. And they're saying, it's time to stop. And I love that. I mean, I love seeing them grasp this moment and seeking to do something very different with it than what, people in my generation may think that you could get, which is a few elected politicians and a few of these. They are talking about really changing. And so that's what I'm seeing.
I had the honor and the chance to work with you and produce a film about the role that gospel music and church leadership in LA had after the What's Uprising and before the What's Uprising to really galvanize, bring the community together through music, through sermon, and elect the first Black mayor that LA had ever seen.
Yes.
That vision of hope, that vision of community coming together. We're going to be seeing this film after this show. We're going to be reading it in a completely different way.
Yeah. It's really crazy because, I mean, think about this. When we were working on this, we're looking at the ways in which a community in 8 years, literally from 1965, the Watts riots, where you would think there's no hope that these people are going to ever elect a mayor of this city, not after this thing that just happened, where you can imagine other people's stereotypical views of who these people are and what they represent. You can imagine a candidate even trying to step in front of the mic and say, I am here, right? And 8 years later, we elect an African American as the mayor of Los Angeles, and African Americans were only 17% of the population. So when it goes back to that notion of hope and opportunity and the notion of people working together, that's a perfect example of it couldn't have been all African Americans because they were only 17% of the population. It was people of all races working together to try to deal with some systemic and endemic changes that needed to occur in the city. And remember, LA was then a model for the country because we are at that time, second largest city, I think third largest at that time in America, and being able to do this without African Americans having to be the majority of the population, like in Detroit or some other place where the numbers bore out the electoral victory. In this case, we had both the political situation happening, and the other context of the film is the notion of how art is used, in this case, religious art, gospel, and organizational efforts on behalf of African American church leaders to not just be concerned about the offering plate and missionary and Bible study, but to literally be fully engaged in the process of trying to bring about change.
Thank you, Dr. Dana Walker, and I love talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again.
Peace, my brother.
Peace. Well, we have a lot to learn, a lot to reflect, a lot to reconsider from how our economy works, how journalism operates, how we can learn from the past to rebuild the future. Thank you all at the KPCC and LAist Newsroom, and thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully we'll have a peaceful protesting weekend where we can speak, take care of our neighbors, take care of our health and our families, and we will see you on Monday.